Greetings. Welcome to ITR Live. I'm your host, Chris Hagenow, and we are back here in the Hendrickson Library at the Center for the Preservation of Western Civilization at ITR World Headquarters in Central Iowa. John Hendrickson and myself here today, ready to thrill and excite you on the gold standard in Iowa conservative entertainment. John's got a Diet Pepsi and some trivia and an ITR sweatshirt, and we are ready to roll.
That's right, yeah.
Are you fired up?
I am. It's an
Good.
exciting day. Yeah.
Do you like yet another week where I wait until Friday afternoon to record the podcast?
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. We've got to do better. You have blanket authority to grab me and drag me to the studio.
Okay.
And you never avail yourself of that authority. You just wait all week. And anyway, so really it's John's fault, not mine.
I'm just I'm being thoughtful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Let's start off, John. Okay, housekeeping. As I'm trying to start off the show, we do want to get this out. As much as I wait all week to have some initiative to record, we do want our listeners to show the initiative to make sure they're subscribing to the podcast, getting it up on social media, email, however you tell your friends. Make sure you know that we are on video on YouTube, but audio only. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, we're available all those spots. Okay. Trivia, John. Who won? What was the last trivia question, and who won? What was the answer? Let's just administratively take care of that.
Yeah. So the question, last one was a Thanksgiving-themed question, and it was what president received a Thanksgiving present that was actually supposed to be served for dinner, but ended up being adopted as a pet. And this president was also the first president to preside over the public lighting of the National Christmas tree. And we did get, as far as I know, we only had one answer, and that was once again our colleague downstairs, Chris Ingstead. And it was President Calvin Coolidge.
Coolidge and the pet raccoon?
Yes, yep. And a person, I believe, from Mississippi sent him a raccoon that was supposed to be for Thanksgiving supper, and Grace Coolidge and Calvin Coolidge fell in love with it, and they named it Rebecca, and it became a famous White House pet, and it was instrumental in kind of roaming the White House, so...
I remember reading a book as a child about a raccoon named Rocky Raccoon. No, that Rocky Raccoon was the name. Who was the raccoon in the book? That was the Beatles song. I can't remember. But anyway, I have a question. You have detailed files on presidential history in that time period. So in the 1920s, or today for that matter, how does one ship a raccoon from, was it Louisiana or Mississippi?
I think Mississippi, yeah.
How does one ship a raccoon to the White House?
Yeah,
and how is that received?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Cal, you got something in the mail today.
Yeah.
You rip it open and there's your raccoon.
Yeah, people would just send gifts to the White House.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
I wonder how that would go over if you sent a raccoon to President Trump right now.
Yeah, probably
at the White House.
Probably not so good.
I have questions.
I think they flew turkeys in for Warren Harding for Thanksgiving.
Okay. And so the Coolidges received the raccoon.
Mm-hmm.
And are they immediately taken by the charm of the raccoon, or does it take a while where they're like hanging out with the raccoon?
No, I think they immediately liked it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And someone actually sent them even two lion cubs, and they adopted them, and those were put into the National Zoo, and they named them Budget Bureau and... It was Budget Bureau and Tax Reform or something like that.
Those aren't very creative names.
No, but it was kind of in the spirit of their economy and government policies.
I suppose. You ever seen the movie Secondhand Lions?
I've seen parts of it,
What a wonderful movie. Talking about pet lions.
Yeah.
What a wonderful movie. Okay, that's everyone's assignment to go watch Secondhand Lions this weekend. Okay, what is the trivia question for this coming week?
Yeah, so it's another Thanksgiving-themed question. It should be fairly easy. And so in November 1620, the Pilgrims arrived in Cape Cod, outside of what is today Massachusetts. And even before stepping ashore on what would later become the Massachusetts Bay Colony, the Pilgrims signed what document that laid the foundation for constitutional government in the United States.
Oh, I know that.
In November 1620.
Yeah, I know that.
So.
Okay. Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, get to work, folks. You know what to do. There's the universe of winners is what, 3 now, maybe 4?
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
So we need to add it, which is about the size of our audience. So
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah,
But let's see if we can grow that a little
yeah.
bit. Once we get to 12, we'll know that we've reached the saturation point with the trivia question.
That's right. Yeah.
So all right, let's do a quick update, John, on the governor's race right now. So I think, and we last time we were together, we talked about the entry of Zach Lane into the governor's race, and so he's in running, making appearances, running on a message of Iowa First, which I think is interesting because you and I have spent a fair amount of time thinking about what America First at the state level might look like.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I think there's some interesting things there. I know one of them is foreign land ownership, and you've written on that, and we've talked about seeing Congressman Randy Feenstra is on a tour. He's had a couple of events here in Central Iowa last night and today. One of the articles we saw, and I think you forwarded this over, was talking about property taxes and suggesting a senior tax freeze. I didn't see the exact quote. And then let's see, I think it was earlier this week. Maybe it was the days are running together, John. I'm getting old. Senator Mike Busolo said that he was not going to be running for governor and is announcing that he will be running in Iowa Senate District 23, which is my Senate district, currently held by Senator Jack Whitver. And Senator Busolo would move into that district. I believe has already made plans. And I think that's going to be at least a couple people in that primary. I know my friend Wes Enos is also running in that as well. So that's going to be interesting. But I think that the sum of all of that is that the field is now set, I believe. I can't, maybe another, but I think at least of the viable candidates, I think we're probably everybody's in now of those 5. Would you agree with that?
I think so, yeah.
And, at this point now, I've seen some people suggesting that, they should take the gloves off. It's time to run robust campaigns and let's start swinging at each other. I don't think it's time for that just yet. I know the field's set, but a lot of these candidates are still introducing themselves to Iowans. Congressman Feenstra's got, I think, at least my sense is, the highest name ID just from having been around the longest and being a sitting member of Congress. But these folks need to introduce themselves to Iowans before they can start taking swings at each other or frankly spending a lot of time swinging at Auditor Rob Sand. Mm-hmm. So that time will come. It's probably coming sooner than a lot of Iowans would like to see it because they want to see what people say they don't like negative campaigns, but they really do because they respond to them. But that time will come. I think that's still very much an introductory phase of these campaigns, and we'll see where they go. It's a lot of work driving around the state, but it's also going to cost a lot of money, and we've talked about that as well. So, field set, ready to go. Are you excited? You don't like the negative campaign ads like I do.
It depends. Some of them I do. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I'm being a little flippant about it. I appreciate shining a light on differences between candidates. If there are, because I used to have to coach candidates sometimes at this on their own TV ads or mail. And, I don't want to go negative. Well, guess what? They're going to go negative on you, first of all. But secondly, is this information in this ad that you would like voters to have when they go in to vote? I would. Mm-hmm. I'd feel bad if there was a meaningful piece of information that would impact someone's vote and they went into the ballot box not knowing that information. Now you haven't done your job right as a candidate.
That's right, yeah.
So that's the standard. So, yes, to all of those things. All right. I have been, for several days, we talked about this in multiple pre-production meetings, John.
Yes.
I want your take on Trump tariff rebate checks.
Yeah.
So set the stage on what this is, because some of our folks might not be following that close. But what is the rebate check? Or I'm sorry, just set the stage.
Yeah,
Tell us what
yeah.
this is about, and then we'll respond.
So in the aftermath of the recent round of elections we had just a few weeks ago,
The odd year midterms,
Yeah, term-
Virginia,
yeah, yep.
New Jersey, California, some of those. Okay.
the Republicans didn't do as well as they wanted to, and one issue that came up was that Americans are still concerned with affordability. Inflation is still a factor.
There's a big article on the front page of the
That's
Wall Street
right.
Journal about that this morning.
Yeah, about the middle
Just
class.
cost to live. They're getting squeezed.
Yep.
So, yes.
And so, in response to this, the president came out with two policies that caused quite a bit of discussion. One was the 50-year mortgage.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Did
the
we
second
talk
one,
about that last time?
I don't think so, but
No, we might have time for a detour onto that.
and the second one was the $2,000 rebate to basically low and middle income Americans that would come from the revenue generated from tariffs in form of a rebate. So it'd be sort of like a stimulus check that would come out, and they're basically saying that would be about $2,000. And that had been discussed before, that had come up, but basically previously it was the administration had said that revenues from tariffs would be used to basically pay down debt. But now the issue has come up with tariffs to use that portion of that for this $2,000 rebate. And there was an article in the Journal this morning, Wall Street Journal, that basically said that the president wants to go forward with this plan starting next year and try to get Congress, and the Wall Street Journal basically said the administration thinks they might have bipartisan support for such a policy. Now, I support tariffs, and
I heard.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't support this idea.
Yeah,
for a couple of reasons. One is that I think this will, look, you give $2,000 to anybody, it will help them in the short term.
of course it will.
But this will make inflation worse.
Yes, we went through this.
Yeah.
We have recent history in this country
That's
of what
right.
happens when you
Yeah.
do this.
So they're estimating roughly close to $160 billion of tariff revenue coming in this year.
How much was? I'm sorry again.
Excuse me, $160 billion.
That's a decent chunk of money.
Yeah, and so some of that has been carved out already.
Yeah.
For aid to agriculture, which hasn't really been the amount, I don't think, has been specified yet. The other thing, the uncertainty is that what happens if the Supreme Court decision comes out and says that the president exceeded his authority in leveling these tariffs to begin with, and they have to return that money.
Well,
That's going to create a problem.
It's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's another concern. But also, this is just bad policy because it will drive inflation. The other thing is that, and I did an article draft of this today, arguing that if the president wants to continue a tariff policy, they should look to what have past administrations done with tariff revenue. And and I always like to point back to, as you know, my favorites, Harding and Coolidge, and what they did. And so when they had what was called the Fording-McCumber tariff, 1920s, that brought in a lot of revenue, and they did not send it back as rebates. What they did is they used that to pay down debt, and they used that also to lower taxes. And that's what they need to do. And so what this administration needs to do is, I read this morning that the One Big Beautiful Bill, for whatever people think about it, is the 6th largest tax cut in our history.
Wow.
So it's a significant tax cut. Now, we need to do policies surrounding that to encourage more pro-growth activity, which means regulatory reform, and instead of spending, we need to start cutting spending. We need to ratify those DOGE cuts. We ran almost a $2 trillion deficit last year. Mm-hmm. The national debt is $38 trillion. These are serious things. And so that's what we need to do with the tariff revenue is if we're going to have tariffs, we need to have a consistent policy, use the revenue to lower taxes, pay down debt, and encourage a more pro-growth policy.
Here's what I know. Whatever that number is, the federal government still spends more than it collects in revenue.
Yes, yep.
And whatever you think of tariffs, this is still sending $2,000, sending $1 to anyone is still deficit spending. And let's call it what it is. It's spending.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to spend it on rebate checks, one-time rebate checks to people, or lighting it on fire, or building something, or growing entitlements, it's all spending. And all you're doing is adding to the problem. There's an opportunity to take those dollars and pay down debt, which would probably be the right thing to do. There's nothing unique about the tariff revenue. It's just revenue. So we're somehow, because we got a certain stream of revenue here, it's got to go right back out some other way. And then there's, on top of it, it's special carve-outs to a certain arbitrary set of people in a certain arbitrary dollar amount in a way that, yes, it will benefit them for a while, but it certainly is going to add to inflation. And like you said, cost of living. So this will add to it. Mm-hmm. We have a problem with inflation, so we have too many dollars chasing a finite amount of goods and services. You will have inflation.
That's right.
So just a bunch of fiat money throwing at this is not going to fix any problem.
No.
We got to get our fiscal house in order.
That's right. Yeah.
We just do. So, good. All right. Well, I feel better now that you've had a chance to publicly. Do you want to pile on? I know you're fired up about it.
I agree. And I feel bad to have to disagree with that policy, but it's not worth it. It would sustain, that amount of money would barely sustain someone for a month.
Right. And if you want to lean on the economic stimulative effect of those $2,000 checks, then we're way off in here into liberal economic policy.
That's right. Yeah.
Of just juicing the economy with a short-term infusion of cash. That's the kind of thing liberals do.
Yeah. Yes.
That's not what conservative economic policy is. You create, as you talked about with all of the things that went into this, you create a tax system that burdens people less, and that's what incentivizes economic growth.
That's right.
I'm glad you talked about economic growth, John, because I got something else I want to talk about. I got a whole bunch of something else.
Yeah.
So there are many people in Iowa policymaking that think that growth, whether it is growth in the state or locally, is really the only reason that we do anything. Almost a slavish desire for growth at any cost. And maybe that's a little overly stated. I don't know. But I'm going to showcase a whole bunch of things just from news this week about our tax money being thrown at individual projects in the name of growth. You ready?
Yes. Yep.
Where do you want to start, John? I'm going to start here. All of these come from the Des Moines Register. Future of Johnston's Ignite Sports Complex in doubt after lenders foreclose on the project. I first just wanted to make fun of this because they spell Ignite as Ignit, and I was just going to say Ignit the whole time because it's IGNIT.
Yeah.
And I think if it was fair, the Des Moines Register left the foreign line over the I. I'm not quite sure. I've never studied language before, but that I'm supposed to pronounce the I different, but whatever. I'll be generous. We'll call it Ignite because they're having problems. We'll go ahead and use the name they prefer. After lenders foreclose on the project. So this is a big news private sports complex in Johnston that got a bunch of tax dollars to build this thing, right? $4.2 million in TIF. They had already pocketed $3.5 million in a pre-development grant. Gone. Because the project, apparently, can't make a go of it. Can't make debt payments, have been foreclosed on by the bank to the tune of $3.25 million. We've kind of followed this, John. What do you think about indoor sports and using our tax money for it?
Well, I think this is an example of the dilemma that we're seeing in a lot of local governments, of this idea that they believe that their economic growth is best achieved through subsidizing these type of projects. And this is a consequences of what happens, is that you throw money at these developers and you make promises, and this situation happens where the project falls through, or if the project doesn't fall through, a lot of times, and there's a lot of research that demonstrates this, that the promised economic benefits don't necessarily follow through in comparison to what the subsidies are that are given. And so in a sense, this is similar to, just like we were talking about with liberal economics of priming the pump. You're dumping taxpayer dollars in the pump and priming that and hoping to get growth out of that.
Maybe it wasn't just for economic growth, because in the article, the city of Johnston also agreed to pay them $360,000 a year to be able to guarantee public use of basketball, volleyball, and pickleball courts.
That's one thing.
So they get the opportunity, after giving them all the seed money to get started, to continue to pay for the facilities. So let's be clear, great deal for the city of Johnston.
That's one question I have just in this whole area, is it just seems like every single project that's going up is some type of sports complex, and I don't understand the demand for it. I mean, when is this is there gonna be too many of these things?
Well, that's a good question. I think maybe we're seeing the free market start to sort it out. I have no problem believing that they would have used this facility a lot. They talked about filling it with track and field. I'm not as up to speed on that, but we've talked on this show before about the Mid-American Recplex in West Des Moines. That's full. The cash flow on it's about even, and it's really popular. And then, in fact, we're going to talk about the Des Moines Buccaneers hockey team in a minute.
Yes,
that's where they've moved to, is out to the Mid-American Recplex. And I think every community wants their own facility like that, because, wow, that's really cool. I wish I could have one too. I remember when a couple of the kids in my class growing up had Mongoose dirt bikes. They were awesome. I wanted one too, and I got a Huffy.
Yeah.
Now my Huffy was pretty nice, but it wasn't as nice as the Mongoose. But they all want it.
Yeah.
Those guys got it, and it's cool. I want one too.
Yeah.
And then I will have grown, and I can feel a whole lot better about my community. I'll have justified my service as an elected official if I can get the grown-up public policy version of the new Mongoose.
That's right, yeah.
I didn't even plan on going there. That was great. Glad I pulled that one out. Okay, so it fails because it would appear, now there's always, the individual factors here, it's the free market couldn't make this work. Even with the government money on top of it, still didn't work. But let's go right across the road here as we take our trip, around Merle Hay Road. Bombers. We've talked about Bombers a couple times on the show. This was going to be a knockoff Top Golf, the driving range thing. So a knockoff Top Golf right across the street. They were going to give a bunch of tax money. I had an op-ed in the Register about this. Remember, John?
Yep.
Well, that project's also hit on hard times. And again, the Register talks about concerns about steel tariffs. That's why this project has had with steel tariffs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would have been built already if it weren't for Trump and his steel tariffs and rising lumber prices, which I don't think they've really gone up that much lately. I went up during COVID, but I think we kind of know what lumber costs.
I think that's desperation there.
Yeah. The city has, again, Johnston invested more than $5 million in the Bombers project, $2.6 million in grants, and then the rest is a discount on the sales price. Again, much like Ignat across the street, there's nothing going on. The only thing we have to show for it is a vacant lot. I don't know. Are we getting the economic growth that the taxpayers were promised here on this one?
No.
So on this particular project, we don't even have to get to whether it's right to pick winners or losers with this tax money. We're not getting anything. There's no winners at all on this.
And how much? I wonder how much of market studies went in for the sporting venues to go in that area.
Well, there's one
Yeah.
market study, which was how much money can we get from the taxpayers before we get started. That market study happened. I can promise you that. Let's take a trip a few blocks south down Merle Hay into through the city of Des Moines and interestingly the city of Urbandale as well to Merle Hay Mall, because here's our next headline. IEDA, the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and I want you to hold on to your thought about market studies, John. IEDA greenlights revamped Merle Hay Mall hockey arena plan. So here's another publicly funded sports venue. This has been bounced around for a while as well. So the Des Moines Buccaneers' old home on about 72nd and Hickman in Urbandale in front of the old Kmart, for those of you that know your way around old Urbandale, had been damaged through just age, storm. They needed to move. So they have moved to the Mid-American Recplex in West Des Moines, but I think it's the old Yonkers/Kohl's at Merle Hay Mall move into it. Okay, fine. So that now has been approved by IEDA to the tune of $26.5 million in tax rebates, and Urbandale is issuing some bonds for it. But here's what was interesting. There was a study on this. There was a study done, I think, 2 years ago that said that the project would not save the mall, which has been the whole project. You know, you put something new in the mall, people come out.
Yeah.
So there was a study that said it won't save the mall, but now somebody doesn't think that study was right, so we're going to do this project anyway. Does that change your analysis at all?
No, it's
throw
similar
out
to
the market study that says that it doesn't work.
It's similar to the remember the quote that was from the local government official that said that when the one was it a bond or an EMS vote that failed, that said, well, the voters they didn't vote it down, they just said no.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to be fair on some of these projects. Look, I think at face value, again, now we're into picking winners and losers. We've decided the tax money, that this project is so important that we need to spend tax money on it. Well, okay, that's one opinion. And I do think it would be very valuable, whether it meets the study or not. I think we can safely say that if you build a new sports arena attached to a mall, it's good for the mall. I don't think you need a degree in economics to figure that part out.
Yeah.
And I also don't blame the city of Des Moines or the city of Urbandale. Did you know, trivia time, the boundary between the city of Des Moines and the city of Urbandale runs right through the middle of Merle Hay Mall? It's just kind of interesting.
I didn't know that till you told me.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was really interesting during the debate on local option sales tax and whether they could decouple. If contiguous, so like Des Moines could have a different tax rate than Urbandale inside the same mall. But that's not what we came here to talk about. I understand those communities. Urbandale is putting a lot of resources in trying to redevelop the older part of Urbandale, the kind of the old Urbandale Town Square at 70th and Douglas. I mean, if you don't know your way around the Des Moines area, it doesn't matter, but Des Moines got an older part that's been established for a long time and that stretches way out in the west suburbs with a lot of growth. Great. They want to redevelop it. Noble goal. This would be a part of it, preventing further decay. I get all of those things. However, we're still throwing tax dollars at one particular project, rather than creating a playing field that benefits everyone. That's all I got for the Merle Hay corridor right now, John. Do you want to pile on at all?
No, I'm
going to get to a broader point here in a minute.
I haven't followed that one specifically, but has that hockey team, are they satisfied playing where they are now, or did they want they want their own home, or is that?
I imagine they would like to have their own home. There's probably a. I think the old one was. It felt like minor league hockey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It had a minor league hockey feel to it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would love to have their own facility, and the owners would like to have their own arena. And those are decent goals. I'm just wondering whether it's worth all this infusion of tax dollars.
Yeah,
because those are my money. Going into that, but.
Well, that's an important question, because I mean there's a lot of evidence that in terms of whether it's stadiums or arenas, it does not necessarily translate into return on investment as when it's subsidized.
That's right. What is the benefit for the taxpayer?
Because I think the other thing that's been in the news is the and I forget who's behind it, but the soccer arena in Des Moines.
Well, yeah, that's next up. So let's go.
Right.
Let's get after it.
Okay, I didn't realize
that. Because $23.5 million from IEDA, $5 million from Polk County for the yet to be built minor league soccer stadium downtown Des Moines.
Yes, yeah.
I know you're excited about that one too.
Yeah, and we saw that there was from a national some economic report that said that soccer was going to create a economic boom. So
well, I know. Here's where you and I are going to.
Yeah.
I do believe that hosting the World Cup in this country will have a positive economic benefit. Next summer is going to be a big summer in the United States between the 250th anniversary celebration, hosting the World Cup. There's going to be a lot going on in this country.
And this one though too, if I understand right, they're trying to sweeten the pot by saying we're not just going to have men's soccer, but they're going to bring in women's soccer too.
Well,
is that right?
That makes all the difference in the world. We should absolutely put a whole bunch of taxpayer money into the project.
So that's how they're justifying it, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't, to me it seems like these things should be able to be financed themselves.
John.
Yeah.
That's naive. You don't understand how economic growth works.
That's true, yeah.
Economic development means we need smart people who understand economic development to get in and find the right projects that will spur on other growth.
Yeah.
You don't understand. You need to have more confidence in these elected officials that truly understand these things to pick these projects for us and spend your money on the right ones so that we can grow our communities.
That's right.
And I think you need to step back with just a little bit more humility and set the audacity aside to think that you would understand how this works. Write your property tax check and shut up, John. We got smart people on the case.
That's right.
Okay.
These are the same people that will criticize my position on tariffs because they'll say, they want the free market, but not for their subsidies.
Right. I feel like we're almost starting to beat a dead horse here, but it's not just local government and it's not just the Iowa Economic Development Authority. Buyer, the former federal Des Moines courthouse, which might be a neat project, the old federal courthouse, neat building downtown or in the East Village, actually, bought it and, kind of tucked in here at the end as they're applying for historic preservation tax credits, despite throughout the article talking about what an awesome opportunity it is. This is a booming spot to be. We're really excited to have an opportunity to get this property because it's so cool and historic, but we're still going to need the taxpayers' money to make sure that we preserve the historic building.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like it would have happened anyway. But let's go ahead and throw some tax money at it. Is that what we're going to do? I mean, at some point, we have to let the free market work, and we have to let these projects rise or fall on their own merits. And I don't think that's complicated. I don't think that's hard. But here's the thing. Maybe in the strong times when things are booming, maybe you can pick a project or two. I still think it's probably not the greatest idea. I get it. But guess what? I've told you to just write the check and shut up. I don't think Iowans are satisfied with that answer because they keep paying more and more and more to government, and they see the dollars going right back out the back door to wealthy developers. And that's not fair, and that is a huge part of what drives the frustration about this property tax problem. And then we see the governor going around the state on this tour talking about property taxes, and the tax eaters line up and they talk about, well, we've got to deliver services. And immediately, and we've talked about time and time again, well, how are we going to put gravel on the roads? How are we going to have police and fire? Well, guess what? Police yourselves. Because here's the problem. You keep asking the people to keep paying. You keep asking the people that making these false choices about what you're going to cut when you're literally throwing tens of millions of dollars out the door to some of Iowa's wealthiest people. The people are frustrated. They want more responsible government, and if those local governments won't do it, they're going to go to their legislators, they're going to go to their governor and ask for results there. Is that it?
No, that's spot on.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can't add to that.
Maybe it's good that I waited until it was all bottled up inside of me, John. If I'd have done this on like Wednesday, it wouldn't have come out the same.
No, I think that's absolutely right.
I came out strong anti-economic development. And look, I think there is, obviously we want great projects. We want great things happening in our communities. I get that. But we have got to have some.
What you're saying is we need a balance. And there has to be. Yeah. There has to be priorities. And the other thing, too, is I was reading in the Wall Street Journal, I think it was either this week or last week, about I think it was Austin, that is forced to make serious budget cuts because, they cannot raise taxes anymore.
Well, and there's a community that should be flush with cash.
Yeah,
everybody wants to move to Austin.
Yeah.
And they got to raise taxes to do it?
Yeah. I mean,
I've got family and friends that live in Texas. I regularly see this theme on social media is don't California my Texas. Sounds like it's happening because they're all moving to Austin.
Yeah.
Raising taxes. Yeah. Where are they going to move to next?
Yeah. And it's
build enough sports complexes, maybe they'll come to Des Moines.
That's right.
We can raise our taxes here too.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons Abbott is making property tax the center of his reelection campaign because, everyone says, well, it's a no tax income tax state, but their property taxes are a mess.
Yeah. I can feel somebody out there right now. Oh, you just don't understand, Chris. We got to have growth. You're anti-growth. What do you mean? Our communities are hurting. Yeah, I get it. And we got to do better. We have to do better across the board. The governor's out there talking about efficiencies and finding different ways to do it. And maybe my whole point today is that we need to have economic development incentives be part of that conversation because it is simply tone deaf to ask Iowans to keep paying more and more and continue doing the same things we've done before at the state and the local level on economic development.
Yeah. And what will happen to economic growth when property taxes continue to escalate?
Oh, that doesn't matter. I told you before you don't understand how this works, John.
That's right.
We get growth from handing the money out. Well, because the projects, they're going to be tax exempt in large part, like they're getting rebated, so it doesn't matter.
That's true.
It doesn't matter. They're not going to pay the taxes. They're getting it all rebated, so like it's all fine, right?
I had a local government official tell me that too.
It's fine, John. It's all fine. Everything's great. At least they haven't raised your levy rate lately. Okay, good. All right. John, you got anything else for us today?
No.
Okay, good. Got a trivia question. You got me getting upset. It's a typical ITR Live podcast. Well, anyway, thanks for joining us, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends. And with that, we will see you next time on ITR Live.